Good evening and welcome to From the 80s View. I'm your host, Dr. Cedric Brown. And before we get started, as I do every week, every episode on my show, I'd like to give honor to God, who's the head of my life. This has been a blessing for me. And the only reason why these things and things in my personal and professional life can happen is because of God, who is first and foremost in my life. So I'd like to always give honor and praise to Him. Um, I'd like to welcome a very special guest to the show, a friend, a colleague, a brother. I've known this young man for probably half of his life, and it's been a pleasure for me to know him. I'd like to welcome tonight's guest, Mr. Todd Kelly.
Thanks a lot, Cedric, for having me on today. Really happy to be here.
TK, man, we go back like four fats on a Cadillac, man. Being around, remember the days where we used to referee the AYBT, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, and we had the bologna sandwiches
On the
and
road.
being on
Yeah.
on 4 and 5 courts at a time, and
Yeah.
doing 5 or 6 games at a time, and then couldn't do anything but just go on the sideline, take your shoes off, put your
Right.
slides on, and put a towel over here and get you a little nap for about 45 minutes. Remember those days?
Right. Yeah. Before the next game, man. Yeah. You bringing back memories. And now, essentially, you said you know me about half my life, and that's true. It's been over 20 years, I think. Yeah. So that's a
Right.
while, man.
Right. And so, some of the topics that we're going to talk about today, Todd, you are one of the up and coming and innovative young men in the recruiting and eligibility industry. In a few words, tell us what that actually means for potential student athletes.
Well, yeah, what I do is I walk parents and student athletes and even coaches and administrators through the college athletic recruitment process. So with all the rule changes and the NCAA changes and things like that, it's really important that everyone kind of stay abreast on the current rules, current trends, and rule changes. So that's one of the things that I really try to do is make sure everyone knows about all of those things.
And we will definitely get into that, Todd, with the business that you have. You are a avid basketball fan. You are a student of the game, and something that has nuanced and come into basketball that thrills both you and I is this NBA play-in tournament. What do you think about that, Todd?
Well, man, it adds a lot of excitement, to the NBA season. For example, last night I was watching some of the games, and it was some really, really exciting games. And so I think this, like I said, adds a new element, adds a new level of intrigue, and kind of gives the NBA a little bit. It kind of makes the regular season a little bit more interesting because I think a lot of people are like 82 games. There's so many games and all of this stuff, but with the play-in tournament, adds a little bit more intensity, adds a little bit more importance to those games.
And Commissioner Silver, really understands what's going on, and he knows how to market the NBA. And the last topic we're going to talk about, Todd, which is something that is really dear and near to your heart, because you have been a college basketball coach at the Division III level. What does Division III athletics mean to student athletes, and what's the benefit of that, really briefly?
Well, at the Division III level, it really gives student athletes an opportunity to be a student athlete and really focus fully on the academics and focus on the athletic side. Unlike Division I, where there's a lot more focus on the athletic side and not as much on the academic side, Division III gives students a real opportunity to be a student athlete.
That's outstanding, and we will get into that. These and more topics on From the 80s View. Let's get it. Welcome back. Welcome back. You're watching From the 80s View. And I'd like to bring back our special guest, Mr. Todd Kelly. He is the CEO and the president of Kelly College Consulting. You talked briefly, TK, about what you're doing, but what I want to get into really is why you started your organization.
There's a few reasons. So, I've coached for about 20 years now. From a variety of levels. High school level, college level. Obviously, and so all of that experience. When I was recruiting kids and interacting with parents, interacting with coaches, I just noticed how so many people had no idea about the recruiting process, from the student athletes to the coaches, to the club and travel coaches, to the parents. And so many people were getting misinformation and things like that because, Cedric, as you're well aware, every student athlete has, an uncle or a cousin or maybe their dad or someone in their life that may have played sports or that may have
Absolutely.
played high school or played college. And they say, oh, I know about the recruiting process. Hey, I know what you should do. These are the things you should do, and they really don't know. And so, I started to see, especially in this modern time with the advent of social media and how important that is with recruiting and those type of things, I felt it's really important to be able to educate the parents and student athletes of all sports about the recruiting process. So educating them about things like, what should your social media profile look like? When you go on campus visits, what questions to ask, educating people about how many scholarships are available at each level, because, you'd be amazed to see student athletes that say, hey, I'm going to get a full scholarship. And then I ask them, hey, so in men's basketball, how many scholarships are available? And they don't even know those answers. You know what I mean? And so
Right.
it's like, how to help someone get a scholarship if you don't even know, how many scholarships are available. And then also I wanted to educate people about all levels of athletics, because, everyone just sees Division I on TV. So a lot of people, that's all they know. That's all they think about. And I want
Sure.
to also know that, hey, there's Division II, there's NAIA, there's Division III, there's junior college. There are other levels where you can play at, where you can go and continue your athletic career and continue your education. That's not Division I, and also levels that's not Division I, where you can get a full scholarship. Because it's amazing at how many people don't understand like how scholarships work in terms of stacking money with athletic money, with academic money, and things of that nature. And it's just really amazing how much people don't know. And so I wanted to educate parents, student athletes, and coaches about the process, because one of the big things I love seeing is student athletes grow, mature, and develop, and go on to college and graduate and have successful careers. And so that's one of the passions I have. And so my business allows me to do that.
Well, you have been an integral part of young people's lives, like you said, for over 20 years, TK. Um, what did you in putting together your business model, right? You're going off of experiences, and as I said in a different show this week, learning from a colleague, we have experiences, we have exposure, and then we have expansion, right? So the experiences that you've had as a student athlete coming up and playing, I believe you played at the Division III level, and you might have played at other levels too, TK. What did you take from the experience when you were recruited, right? Because I don't know if your parents had an understanding of recruitment and eligibility when you came out of school. So what experiences how did you fold your experiences into your business model, TK?
Well, that's a good question. And one of the things with my business model is that it's important to really educate the parents, because a lot of times in the recruitment process, the parents are giving some advice. They're giving their opinion, and a lot of times the parents may not even know. And a lot of times the parents, their mindset is mostly on the financial side of things. Hey, what's the cheapest?
Hmm.
Where can you get a scholarship at? And so a lot of times people kind of had this misconception that, hey, the higher level you play at, the more scholarship dollars you'll get. And that's not necessarily true. For
Hmm.
example, you look at a sport like baseball, where there's only 11.7 scholarships at the Division I level. Very few
Hmm.
Division I baseball players get a full. Very few baseball players even get a half. And I tell people it's like, not necessarily likely, but it's very possible for you to go to a Division II or even a Division III and pay less in tuition than you would at a Division I in a sport like baseball. You know what I mean? Because of it's an equivalency sport and it's only
Yep.
11.7. I think the one thing I learned is that, my parents, obviously were educated. They did a great job with me, but they didn't even know everything about the process. So I just learned that, hey, there's no one that's educating the parents about these things, because a lot of times, usually that comes down to the coach, but a lot of times there's so many high school coaches that don't know about the recruiting process. I literally, and I'm not going to say any names, but I was talking to a couple of high school coaches this week, and one of the high school coaches I spoke with said, "Hey, I didn't even know junior college had 3 levels." And I'm like, "Yes, junior college has 3 levels." And so just
Absolutely.
educating people about the levels, the opportunities, and educating people about, for example, social media, because you don't know how many kids have eliminated themselves from being recruited because of their
Because of
social
social
media,
media.
by having,
Absolutely.
bad language in the films, or by posting or retweeting stuff that has, inappropriate content. So just making sure that these athletes and these parents and coaches are educated on how to get recruited. And then too, as you well know, high school student athletes have fell way behind, way down the ladder in terms of priority from a recruiting standpoint, because coaches in college are looking for transfers first. So
Absolutely.
I want to be able
That
to educate.
portal, boy.
Exactly. So I want to educate these high school students on, yeah, how do I get on the radar? You know what I mean? How do I get myself seen by coaches? How do I email coaches? What should that email look like? When I talk to coaches on the phone, what should that conversation look like? When I send film, what should that film look like? And a lot of people just don't know these things. And it's amazing, because you would think, oh, yeah, people know, or yeah, the high school coach knows. And it's so often that coaches have come up to me after my presentation and said, oh, man, you told me so many things I didn't know. Like, I'll give you one example. You're aware of this. You're allowed unlimited official visits right now. It used to be 5.
Absolutely.
And so every coach I told, they're like, oh man, I thought it was only 5. I didn't know it changed. And then another important rule: you used to be able to fill out the FAFSA on October 1st, and that's changed now. It's been pushed back to December. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
don't know that. You know what I mean? And then another small thing: you can negotiate tuition, particularly at small private institutions. If two schools are, similar level, playing the same
Absolutely.
conference, you can go to one school and say, hey, can you, this school's offering me this. Is anything you can do about that? And they'll come back and find you more money. And so those are some things, for example, that a lot of people don't know. And I think one thing with me, why I'm really so passionate about this, and why I think I'm, doing pretty well at this point, is because not only do I have a background in athletics, but I've also have a background in admissions and financial aid. And so I know
Mm.
all sides of the process, not just the athletic side, but also the admissions, the financial aid, and obviously, the academic side as well. So those are kind of the things that led me to kind of start the business, and why I'm so passionate about being able to educate these parents, student athletes, and coaches.
Before we move to the next topic, you spoke on something, TK. You said equivalency, right?
Yes.
Can you just share with our audience briefly the difference between a head count sport and an equivalency sport?
Okay, absolutely. So at the Division 1 level, for men, for example, there's 2 head count sports: men's basketball and FBS football. Those are the only 2 head count sports. And head count
Mm-hmm.
me for men. Now for women, the head count sports is basketball, gymnastics, tennis, volleyball, and I believe there's one other sport for women that's
Mm-hmm.
in a head count. And head count means that in those sports, the scholarship can only be a full scholarship. So you'll never hear a men's or women's Division 1 basketball player say, hey, I got a partial scholarship at this Division 1 school. There only can be full scholarships in those in head count sports. Now, equivalency sports, I like to tell parents and student athletes, don't look at equivalency sports like a coach has a certain amount of scholarships. Look at it as if they have a certain amount of money. Because, for example, if
Dollars.
a coach has 8 full scholarships and tuition is $20,000 at the school, the coach has $160,000 that they can distribute however they want. So they can give one
A
kid
pot of
20,000,
money.
one kid 10,000, one kid 5,000. They can give somebody a full, but that's not very likely a lot of times, because a lot of times in those equivalency sports, coaches will do what's called stacking. And stacking is where you take athletic scholarship money and you stack it on top of academic scholarship,
Academic.
and then you can stack it with any type of federal money that you may be eligible for, whether it's a Pell Grant or a federal SEOG grant or whatever the case may be. But that's a big thing, the equivalency sports and head count. So head count is a full ride, and it only can be a full ride. Equivalency means you can break the scholarships up and give people different amounts.
And so when you've explained it, like you just explained it for our viewers, TK, how many people come to you after you've given that definition and that presentation that tell you, Mr. Kelly, I I appreciate it because I really didn't understand any of that before you told that to me.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, it's usually probably about after every presentation, it's at least a dozen people come up to me and they'll say that some part of the presentation they didn't know about or they didn't understand. And one of the things, the big things, is the equivalency thing. And as far as how the scholarships break down, because a lot of people, I think there are a lot of people that think that, all people that get scholarships are getting full scholarships. Some people
Right.
really think that. You know what I mean? And so when I break it down to them, they understand it a little bit better. And then I think once I break it down, people become a little bit more interested in NAIA and Division II because they know, oh, well, I can get a full scholarship at Division II, or I get a full scholarship at NAIA. And I'm like, yeah, you can. And I'm like, a lot of student athletes don't necessarily get the full athletic, but they end up getting a full scholarship once you stack the athletic and academic. And then parents and student athletes, I think, become more interested in those levels because they're like, oh, I can still get a scholarship at that level. Okay, so I'm still interested.
And they can still play
Right.
at a high level in their athletic activity because Division II, high level. You go to the Elite Eight in basketball in Division II, right?
Right.
You can play at a high level in NAIA. The championship is in Kansas City,
Right.
right? At the junior college level, you play at a high level. Junior college
Very high.
Division I. I was at Lakeland. You got John A. Logan. You have Wabash Valley. You have Vincennes University.
Oh, yeah.
You have the schools in Florida in the Gulf Coast Conference. You have the schools in East Texas.
Texas. Yeah.
Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
Moberly
Oh, yeah.
all. You go to Iowa Western. You have all those
Yeah.
schools that have an opportunity for students to get a degree, right, and play a high level at their sport.
Right.
Do me a favor, TK, stay with us because I'm gonna come back and we have two more topics to talk about. So after I take this break, you are watching From the AD's View. I'm your host, Dr. Cedric Brown. We will be right back after these commercial breaks.
Water. It's everywhere. We drink it, we bathe with it, we cook with it. Coffee's made with water. Toilets won't flush without it. It's used for washing clothes, dishes, utensils, pots, pans, floors, and our teeth. Plants and crops need water, animals drink it, and fish need it too. And don't forget, we can have a lot of fun in the water. Water. What would we do without it?
From the creative team that brought you the Browning Project and Dead by Morning comes a new thriller that will change the way you look at white-collar crime forever. Falling from the Sky.
I'm Leon Thomas with the Leon Thomas Group. Podcast, virtual events, webinars, streaming shows, and so much more. We want to be your partner in all things virtual.
Welcome back. You're watching From the AD's View. I'm your host, Dr. Cedric Brown. Before we get started, I'd like to talk a little bit about my new book. It's a book that I was able to write my dissertation and turn it into something that was informational for individuals. And it's called How African-American Men Overcome Racial Barriers and the Status Quo in NCAA Institutions. It's a narrative inquiry. And as you see up there in the upper right-hand corner of the screen is a QR code. If you scan that QR code, it will take you directly to Amazon, which is the keeper of my book, and you can order that book through the QR code. If you'd like to get in contact with me, You can reach me on my website, cedricmbrown.org, or you can reach me at LinkedIn at Cedric M. Brown, PhD is my handle at LinkedIn, or you can reach me on my new email address, which is from the AD's view at gmail.com. Let's bring back our guest, Mr. Todd Kelly. Mr. Kelly is the president and CEO of Kelly College Consulting, and does a remarkable job for up and coming PSAs or potential student athletes and their families in working to help those individuals continue their dream as a student athlete. Todd, we were talking about the passion that you have for basketball, and you've been in the college realm of basketball and athletics for more than 20 years. But you're a student of the game, TK, and that NBA is fantastic, right? And right now, for basketball junkies like yourself and myself, we have something new called the play-in game, right? It's a play-in tournament, I should say, in the NBA. What do you think about that, TK?
Well, and I'm excited, because like I said, the more basketball, the better. You know what I mean? And so I definitely think this adds a little bit of interest to the NBA season, adds a little bit of excitement. For example, it was a couple games last night that were really, really good games. That Celtics-Knicks game, the Golden State Warriors game, those games, the Mavericks, they played Denver. That game ended up being a little bit more competitive than I thought it would be. And so these were some really good games, add some excitement. I like the courts. You see all of the teams got special.
Absolutely. Yeah.
A little marketing, thing for the NBA. So I think it's good all around because it adds some excitement, adds some interest. The NBA gets a chance to kind of show itself off a little bit more. And also, I think one of the things that the reason the NBA did it because they're trying to get a little bit of attention away from football. You know what I mean? Because obviously football, ratings is super, super high. NBA wants to try to dent those NFL ratings and take a little bit of interest away from the NFL now. And I think they're doing that. So I like the idea.
And it is a great concept, right? Because as you and I were talking before the show, it's an 82 game season, right? And sometimes there can, the excitement of basketball can be lost in 82 games, right? You and I, former college basketball coaches, coaching a 30 game season, we thought it was long, because we really go all year round, but we can start in October and then hopefully we end in March. That's a long season, but 82 games, a lot of back-to-backs, some back-to-back-to-backs. But, this tournament has done something. I think it has re-energized the fan base, right? It's re-energized the NBA in their the marketing of their product. How exciting is Wembanyama? Wemby, 7'4", 7'5", handle it like a guard, shoot it like a wing. What you think?
Man, I was impressed, and I watch. I live here in Texas. I live in Dallas, so we get all of the Spurs games. And so I saw the game, both of the games they played versus the Suns, the game where he had, 38 or something. And to be honest, I don't know what's more impressive about him, if it's his skill set, because obviously, his ability to pass, dribble, shoot is crazy. We haven't seen anybody 7'5" be able to do that. But also the fact that he's 7'5" and can run and jump and has lateral quickness and has like coordination and has agility and mobility. We've not seen anybody 7'5" that has that type of like athletic ability and mobility. So I don't know if it's the athleticism and the physical skill that's more impressive, or if it's the passing, shooting, and dribbling that's more impressive. I mean, this dude is catching lobs backwards, you know what I mean, from the block. You know what I mean? He's taking off outside the charge line and just extending into the rim. It's like, how do you guard this guy? It's like if he puts on, maybe 10 to 15 pounds, just gets a little bit longer, just get to the point of where he could get to the line often. I mean, he's going to average 30 easy. Not this year. I think this year he'll probably be around, 18 to 20 points,
18,
maybe
yeah.
8 to 10 rebounds. But 3 to 5 years from now, oh, he's gonna be 30 and 15. You know what I mean? It's gonna be crazy.
Absolutely. And TK, as the viewers get to know you, and if they do some research, Coach Todd Kelly used to be a high flyer himself, playing above the rim, out of the Chicagoland area and everything. As we move to the next topic, which is probably more and near and dear to you, TK, what does it mean to be in Division III athletics?
Well, what it is, it's an opportunity to continue your athletic career and play at a high level, because I think one misconception is that, Division III isn't a high level. Or I'll give you a good example. And Cedric, you've seen this, you go to a school and, you ask a coach, hey, coach, what kids do you got that you think could, play at my level, or that you think would be, good players or what have you? And I had coaches sometimes show me their fourth or fifth best player, and like, yeah, this guy probably could play for you at Division III. And it's like, yo, Division III is a lot better than you think. Almost everyone that
Right.
played Division III was an all conference, sometimes even an all state player. So I think what Division III does is it really gives student athletes an opportunity, like I said, really continue their career, play at a level, compete, get a good education, and gain some valuable life experiences, and really have fun and play the game or the sport that you love. So that's what really Division III is about, and it's really about those relationships that you build, the experiences that you have, and that's really what I found most enjoyable and most rewarding about Division III.
And it is an enrollment driven model, right?
Absolutely.
At the Division III level. Absolutely, because they don't get athletic aid. They can get academic aid
Right.
through the merits of their work coming out of high school or transferring from a 2-year program and things like that. What's your approach in your business when you talk to families when they're going to an enrollment driven model, right? Because from an athletic standpoint, they want as many student athletes as possible, right? Because the student athletes are either paying or they're getting some kind of grant or aid through academics. Is your approach any different with those parents that are going to an enrollment driven model versus the
Um,
model of paying athletically related aid?
Well, a little bit. It's just really about educating parents because, for example, one thing a lot of people don't understand before they even get to college is that a lot of times Division IIIs and even NAIAs have JV teams. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And because, like you said, a lot of Division IIIs are enrollment driven, and a lot of them, the majority of their student body or a large portion of their student body is student athletes, and a lot of those
it is.
coaches have quotas. Like the basketball coach will have a quota, like, hey, you got to start the season with a roster of 25. So that means you got to have a JV team. You know what I mean? You got to have 10 to 15 guys that are not going to be getting playing time on varsity. And so just first of all, educating those parents that, hey, there may be a JV team. You know what I mean? You may have to work your way up. That's really important. And then also educating them about the financial aid process at Division III, because I think that's really what scares people away the most, because they know Division III doesn't give athletic scholarships. But I always tell people that, hey, if you are a really good student, you can go to a Division III for a very affordable amount, because a lot of Division IIIs offer very significant academic scholarships. And then they also offer some very significant school-based grants. Like almost every Division III I know has some type of leadership scholarship or a business
Mm,
scholarship, or have like minority scholarships, or some type of scholarship affiliated with your major, or maybe a scholarship affiliated with your religious affiliation. And so every Division III has a lot of different grants and aids and things like that can make tuition a lot more affordable. So the one thing I really say is, people, don't be scared away by Division III because you either think it's going to be too expensive or you think you're too good. And I think those are two misconceptions that people have about the D3 level, that, oh, it's going to be way too expensive and I'm not going to be able to afford it, because they see the sticker price of 60,000 or 50,000 and they're like, oh man, I can't afford that. Now realizing that nobody pays the sticker price, nobody. And then also thinking that oh, this level is not good enough. Because just think about it, Cedric, how often does someone say, hey, I'm going to go to this local Division III game tonight just to kind of check it out? No one's really doing that. You know what I mean? So a
Right.
lot of people don't know how good those student athletes are. And I'll just give you an example. This is one of the things I'm most proud of as a coach at the D3 level is I have 2 players right now that are playing professionally that played Division III. One is in Serbia and one is in Japan. And it's like, they were really good players that could have played at the Division I level. You know what I mean? So there are really good players that are playing at the Division III level. And just because you go to, so just don't think, hey, I was an average high school player, I could go play D3. Nah, it don't work like that.
And that is a valid point, TK, because so many people take for granted that Division III is a lesser opportunity than Division I, right? You've been around me, like we said early in the show, almost half of your life. And when I was at Lakeland College, I had individuals there that could have played at the University of Illinois. It could have played at Northwestern, could have played at so many other places. And I also had young, like walk on or my 14th or 15th that ended up at Greenville University with Dr. Barber,
Yeah.
Division III, which is one of the most exciting Division IIIs in the state of Illinois. And Dr. Barber for a long time, and you had individuals there that had good skill sets, right? Highly, many of them high level academics, right? That they're going to get great educations, and then those individuals are going to go on and be the coaches and and have careers as educators or doctors or coaches or things like that, right? So we shouldn't take those things for granted, because I think that Division III athletics is a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, absolutely. And 2 things you brought up that I think are really, really, really important and staples of Division III too is that a lot of Division III institutions are really, really good academically, are really
Very
highly
good
rated
academic.
institutions. And so that's another reason, you get to go to a school that's highly rated academically, that you'll be able to get a good education, where you'll be able to really meet a lot of alumni and form a lot of good relationships that you'll be able to leverage when you get out of school to be able to help you get jobs and be able to help you get internships and be able to help you with whatever future endeavors you get. And then also Division III offers a lot of people an opportunity to play, because there are a lot of kids that may be Division II or maybe even Division I caliber, but they may go to a Division II, sit on the bench for a year or 2, or go to Division I, sit on the bench for a year or 2. When it's like, and I always ask kids, would you rather go somewhere, play and win, or go to another school, sit on the bench and lose? And
right.
everyone's always going to say, I'd rather go where I'm going to play and win. Well, it's like, okay, would you rather go to a really good Division III and play and win and maybe say pay $3,000 a year, or would you rather go to a Division II, sit on the bench, lose, but you got a full scholarship? You know what I mean? So those are some of the options that I try to make parents and student athletes weigh out to decide what's a good option for them and why Division III could be a better option. And a lot of times Division III is the best option, because once you can get the financial side of things, you realize, hey, I'm gonna get a great education. I'm gonna get a chance to actually play and be on the court for 4 years. And then another thing about Division III is a lot of Division III institutions are typically smaller, on average, than Division II, Division I.
More intimate.
So that allows for smaller class sizes. That allows for more individualized attention. That allows for you to actually have a relationship with the professor and go to their office and speak to them. You know what I mean? Instead of a big institution where you may have a lecture hall with 200 or 300 people. So there are a lot of advantages to playing at the Division III level.
Absolutely. And, when you talk about great Division III institutions that are academic, in Chicago, your home city, in Illinois, your home state, University of Chicago, you come out of there with a degree, you're doing well. You went to a good one, Millikan University. You come out of there with a degree at Millikan, pretty good degree to come out of there. Concordia, and you can go on and on and on. I mean, the one that you coached at, North Central, right?
I coached at North Central and I coached at IIT, and IIT is a really good institution. Yeah,
and so great institutions that your young people come out of, and and they gain leadership skills by what you teach them as a basketball coach, or other sports they play in and things like that. So before we close out the show, TK, I always ask my guest one question, and me knowing you for a long period of time, and now with your family and things like that, and I know growing up that faith meant so much to you, and by your mother and father. What does faith mean to you, TK, and how has it helped shaped the person that you are?
Well, I mean, it's really, really important because, I got to be honest, it was a big leap of faith for us to move down to Texas, because at the
Yep.
time, my wife got promoted and got a job with Frito-Lay, and the headquarters are down here in Texas and whatnot. And so I was coaching. I had a head coaching job in Illinois. I actually had to resign, quit my job I had in Illinois to move down here to Texas. So it was a big leap of faith for us. And actually starting my own business, we had a lot of prayer and a lot of, asking God to kind of show me the way and to kind of
Mm-hmm.
open doors for me and that type of thing. And so just starting a business was a big leap of faith. And like, I'm so thankful because there are a lot of things that happen where you'd be like, oh man, I just got lucky there. Or, oh man, like, how did this happen? It's like, no, those are blessings, because certain things just don't happen for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give you one good
Right.
example. Like, I play golf a lot. I just happened to be golfing one time. I got paired up with a guy who was a superintendent of a district. You know what I mean? And like, it's like that stuff just doesn't happen by chance. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's like God putting that person there with you. And I formed a relationship with that person. And I was able to get a contract with their district, and that superintendent was like a popular superintendent, so he knew other superintendents and whatnot. So he actually introduced me to two other superintendents, from districts, and that I was able to get into their district. So that right there was just
Networking.
a blessing. And so just being able to kind of share my experience and the blessings that I've had, and it's because of faith, prayer and being thankful for what you have, and just kind of just making sure that you're always aware of the blessings that you get, because like I said, people say luck sometimes, but it's like, it's not luck, it's a blessing. And it's like, the harder you work, the luckier you get, but it's a blessing because of the positions and the situations that God has put you in, because it just doesn't happen by luck where at 12:37 these two people are going to be at the golf course together on Saturday. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
that's, what I mean?
Right.
God set that up, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of my testament and my testimony as far as, and I'll give you one other one. This is kind of interesting. I do basketball training, so I
Mm-hmm.
train kids sometimes in basketball. And I was just at a park training, and the kid's dad who I was training was sitting there, and another dad pulled up because it was right behind this church where they had a gym at, and the dad pulled up and he said, hey, man, I want to get basketball training for my son. Who is this guy training your son? And obviously it was me. And then so after the training, I went and talked to the other dad. The other dad was like, yeah, I want you to train my son too. Do you want a gym to use? Because I have a gym you can use if you want to use it. I'm like, for real? Of course. You know what I mean? So he was like, yeah, the gym is right over here. And I'm like,
Look at God.
He's like, look, you could use the gym for free. All you got to do is let my son come in the session for free. So I would usually train like 4 or 5 kids. His son would be one of them, but I would obviously make money off the other 4 or 5 kids. His son would be in the training session for free. And it was just a blessing. I got to use the gym twice a week for free. And it's like, come on, how does that happen? Like an angel dropping down. You know what I mean? So those are 2 instances where I'm just like, man, I just been really blessed,
Well, TK, again, man, known you for a long period of time, and to see the growth in you, and to see how you are impacting, right? You're paying it forward. What you have is a blessing, right? And people are better because of Todd Kelly. Todd, if individuals want to get in contact with you with regards to recruiting and eligibility consultation, how can they reach you, man?
Oh, it's a couple ways. Number one, you can get in contact with me through my website. It's www.kellycollegeconsulting.com. But on my website, I got a lot of good recruiting tips as well. Tips about financial aid, tips about recruiting, tips about going on campus visits. A lot of good information about recruiting on the website. And then you also can email me. It's tko134118@gmail.com. I get people emailing me all the time about recruiting questions and things of that nature. And then I have 3 upcoming presentations. I have one coming up here on, I believe, November 9th here in Del Rio, which is close to the border. So I'll be presenting at Del Rio High School for their parents and student athletes on November 9th, as you can see right there. And
Mm-hmm.
we're expecting a big crowd for that. And then the very next week, I'll be in Midland, Texas. I'll be presenting for Ector County School District, which is right in that Midland, Odessa area. And I think that'll be November the 13th. I'll be doing a presentation there. And then I have several other presentations coming up here at the end of November and at the beginning of December, both in San Antonio and Austin. And so I got a busy schedule ahead, a busy presentation schedule ahead. And I'm looking forward to the spring, where I'm probably going to be doing anywhere between 20 and 30 presentations for 20 to 30 different high schools and high school districts. So, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really excited right now. And like I said, I really want to just thank you, Cedric, for, bringing me on today. And obviously for our relationship, like you said, it's been over 20 years, man. You know what I mean?
Over 20, man.
At Lakeland, from days we was at Chicago State, and all the other places
Absolutely.
you was at, all that, man. It's like moving around the
Absolutely.
country, all that stuff. So, man, it's great. And then we always usually connect at that Final Four some kind of way. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
great.
Well, I appreciate you, Todd. You're my little brother, man. You are, an important part of my life. I love you, and I just appreciate you, man. So thank you for being a guest on the show today. I appreciate you, Todd.
All right, definitely. Thanks a lot, Cedric.
All right, and like I said, being on the show with us this evening. And before I leave, I just want to the one thing that I want to make sure that everybody knows and understands, that mental health is a real thing in college athletics. And if you're a coach, if you're an administrator, if you're someone that has the ability to lead young people, listen to them, give them a voice, allow them to share their thoughts, because being a student athlete is a hard job, right? Getting up every single day, training, going through your practice, and then having to be in classrooms, and have a full load. Some student athletes have 18 credits. Some have as many as 20 credits. But listen to your student athletes, coaches and administrators, parents. Be willing to listen to and understand your student athletes and hear them. And when they say that they're having mental overload, then give them an outlet, give them an opportunity to sit down and decompress sometimes. And again, you can catch us every Sunday evening at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern, for more open and honest discussions on From the 80s View. I'm your host, Dr. Cedric Brown. Good night and God bless.